All right, welcome everybody to the Platform and Core Development Update. We are here with the Platform and Core teams to give you an overview, an update, what happened in the past 2 weeks. Development-wise, we are planning this session for about 60 minutes, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. All right, without further ado, let's just start.
Yep.
I should share my screen as well. 1 second. All right, would you kick us off, Sam?
Yep, sure. So one of the main highlights of this sprint, at least for me, was versioning, and I've been working on it quite intensively, to say the least. I don't think we're on the versioning slide though. There we go. So the amount of work in versioning is pretty high. We have to think of what is versioning and what is needed to accomplish it. In order to do proper versioning, we have to take the code base and kind of refactor it into modules that can be versioned. And these can be either granular or not granular. Yeah, so basically when the way versioning will work is that different Evo nodes get software updated, and then they start proposing a new version to the network, the version that the owner of that node desires. And when enough of them, 75%, have upgraded, their version of what they want is going to lock in, and of their new code base. Then after an epoch of being locked in, it will activate. Now, at the activation, what is going to happen? So we don't want like one version to like be shut down and another version to start. I mean, we don't want to have to manually do that. We want code to seamlessly go from doing one previous thing to one new thing. So let's, for example, give an example. For example, the storing of an identity. Let's imagine that it was on version 0 and now it's going to version 1. Am I not sharing my video? I guess I'm not. Nobody was able to see. Oh, here I am, guys. Yeah, so let's imagine we were going from version 0 to version 1 of storing an identity because of some issue in the code, or some let's imagine the costs were off of that operation, or we were being attacked by some actor and we needed to raise costs, or we found the costs were too high and we were going down. It doesn't really matter on why. When we wanted to make that switch from storing the identity in version 0 to storing the identity in version 1, we need both code bases to actually be active in the code and seamlessly go at the block that we're switching from one path, code path, to the next code path. This requires a lot, well, has required, because most of it's done by now, extensive refactoring of Drive, ABCI, and DPP to support this, as well as a lot of other versioning mechanisms. For example, mobile clients interact with platform using state transitions. State transitions can be on multiple versions at the same time, and not multiple versions. The network can support multiple versions of state transitions at the same time. So in this case, for example, a state transition, even when we switch from one protocol version to another, multiple versions can be supported. So all of this is actually a very pretty hefty task, but I'm happy to report that like a lot of progress has happened. I think 2 weeks ago, we didn't have any ABCI versioning, if I'm not mistaken. And now we're about 85% done. The last part of ABCI, so it's not really ABCI, it's Drive ABCI. There are three parts in this area of versioning. There's Drive, DPP, and Drive ABCI. Each one very big, though DPP is probably the biggest. So 2 weeks ago, where we were was Drive versioning was at 0%, ABCI versioning was at 0%, and DPP versioning was around 70%. A lot of work has happened on DPP versioning. However, the scope has somewhat increased as basically I realized that some things that I thought we could do were not possible. So we had to add some work there. So it's going well. Just these numbers don't really do justice to the amount of work that was done. Currently, we're at, so there was one PR for Drive ABCI versioning that was merged in last week that changed and modified about 7,000 lines of code. There was another one on Friday, another 3,000 lines. And then the main one for Drive and DPP versioning is currently sitting at around 30,000 lines of changed code. This is pretty intense. So yeah. It's going well, but yeah, it's still not done. Some parts are 100% done, and just some things have not yet started. It's just going down the list of things needed to do. So like, for example, I've been really working on Drive versioning right now, trying to finish it, but there's just so much. And I gave an example here, like document, all like insertion of documents, fetching documents, proving documents, that's all 100% done. Insertion of contracts, updating of contracts, all of that is 100% done. Identity, I've been working on a lot today, and I got through fetching identity by public key hashes, proving identities, but I haven't done things like insertion of identity yet, or updating of identity. So these are all things that need to happen. Again, this is not so much logic. So the actual, like, what the code doesn't change. It's more moving the code around, versioning it, and creating mechanisms for identifying the proper version of the sub feature. Okay, let's go on to the rest of the platform team. And I think Ivan, do you start?
Yep. Hello,
Yep.
everyone. Yeah, so as far as you remember, guys, we updated core on testnet is version 19.2. And this version has a breaking change in the RPC call ProTXDiff to obtain simplified master node list on the client side. And when we started the platform back after the core update, it didn't work because of that. And we fixed this issue in JavaScript Dashcore library, but we faced with another issue. That's why the platform update on the testnet took about a week, unfortunately. Yeah, so the next problem was that the certificates, the SSL files, what we used for the platform, unfortunately was removed, and we weren't able to bring back our certificates. So the logic, basically, how we manage certificates in deployment tool has the issues, and now we solve these issues together with infrastructure team. So all the SSL files are persisted, and even if we destroy the network, remove all the platform data, when we bring it back, we have all our certificates. It took some time, and during this work, we made several fixes in the Dashmate to support different new use cases for deployment tool. For example, now the improvements to Dashmate, so it reused the certificate request file and private key for all further renewals for certificate that you obtain with their SSL provider. And the hard reset command in Dashmate now deletes the SSL keys as well, together with the data, platform data, and configuration. So it's more consistent now. And we added Dash Masternode tool this sprint into the Dashmate setup command, since it's I would say, the officially recommended way to start the masternode on mainnet, because you can use it with hardware wallets. So now when you register masternode with the Dashmate, it recommends to go with the Dash Masternode tool and provide all instructions how to use it, or you can go with the core wallet and they have instructions for that as well. We removed options with mobile wallets because we realized that the functional in the wallets is not there yet. Even if you create and generate keys with mobile wallets, you still need to move these keys to the core wallet to sign for TX transaction, which is not great approach. So for now, like, Dashmate provides only two options: Dashmate Masternode tool and core wallet. We also made a small improvement to speed up the local network start. As you remember, we reported this in the previous review that we made an improvement in the Docker file for platform components in our monorepo, and now we have one single Docker file. So now Dashmate properly, I would say, use it so it does not run the same stages for different services and do it only once, like by building dependencies only once and then proceed with other steps for different services. And we continue together with the infrastructure work to use on the CDCI caching. We already talked about this previous review. We made a little progress on this sprint, unfortunately, because we were busy with other stuff, especially the testnet thing. So, but now it's our main priority, and like to reduce the CI CD runtime and reduce the costs. Yeah, thank you, Javid.
Yo, sure. Hey, everyone. Glad to have you here. So good news, everyone. We've accomplished Dashmate end-to-end testing, and it's great. It's there, and it's testing the Dashmate using the black box text. So it's great to have, and I'm happy it's finished. And the second thing is we're in the process of implementing ABCIRs as we had it previously for GS Drive. However, it's been implemented a little bit generic, and we're working with the team to add some more granularity to the errors, or let's say, error codes produced for each error we have in the system. So it's still in progress. And that's basically it. We should go next.
Łukasz. Thank you very much, Javid.
Okay, on my side, I worked on few things last 2 weeks. First of all, I finalized Drive graceful shutdown. I started that before previous sprint, so it was in review during last sprint review. Now it's done. This is quite complex task with some asynchronous code to be written and tested. So it was a bit hard, but it's already merged. I worked on CPU's usage in TenderDash on testnet just a bit. We started that, investigated how to do profiling, and communicated with the infra team. But due to like high load on the infra team and working on the testnet during the 2 weeks, we didn't go further with this. But it's in progress. Hopefully, we'll do it in the next days. And the issue is that TenderDash is consuming quite big amount of CPU on testnet, and we need to see if it's valid or not. If not, then we need to fix that issue. And right now, the biggest task I'm working on is right kind proof verification. Basically, on testnet and also in V25, we return proofs. And now I'm doing some helper in Rust for the for a developer, external developer that will use our platform to be able to easily verify these proofs if they use Rust, or just to have a reference implementation if they use another technology. Also, this will include some bindings for some other languages, so that it can be just used as using these bindings. And as part of that, I have to extend the proofs with block ID from because it's needed to do that verification. And that's pretty much it on my side. Thanks.
Anton, would you go next, please?
Yes, sure. Hey guys, Anton's here. And this week, I was working on 3 things, 2 of which are kind of leftovers from the previous sprints. And one new thing is proof of concept for masternode voting. So what is it? What is masternode voting, and what we refer to as a proof of concept for masternode voting? So we want to have an option for some data contracts on the platform. We want to be able to set a specific document for masternodes to vote on. For example, this can be useful when we are working with usernames in DashPay. For example, when we do a first batch of name distribution, and we want to prevent squatting of the names, or we want to distribute names to whose network can decide the names should go. We want to have a mechanism that records voting, masternode voting on a certain name goes to a certain person. So different people can make a request to register a username, but then for the first round of username distribution, for example, we might want to have a voting on like valuable names, so masternodes actually can decide who will own like some valuable usernames. And so people will not just register a username right away, but instead they will leave a request for certain usernames, and then masternodes can vote on those usernames. This can be useful for some other different things too as well later on, where we want to have some sort of decisions recorded on chain, so some voting takes place. And this is what I'm working on right now. Also, I have two things that are kind of leftovers from the previous sprints, which is fetch data contracts endpoint and quorums low health. So while those were done for some time, we actually still have some discussions for those. For example, just today, just a couple of hours ago, Ivan left a comment, for example, the data contract request, and we finalizing the API. Specifically, we're trying to figure out what would be the best possible user interface for the SDK and how end users and by end users, I mean developers, third-party developers would like to fetch data contract history, not DAPI endpoint specifically, but what methods SDK should have. For example, should we be able to request to have a high level methods to fetch a contract, fetch a state of contract at a certain date, list how many versions of the contract we had, things like that. So those are in review, and there is no active work on them going on right now. We're just wrapping up some loose ends that are left from the previous sprints. And that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anton. Dima, would you go next, please?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. I'm Dmitry. Well, as a sprint, I'm working on supporting a new version of Dashcore in the platform. Well, on the last sprint, we finished work on backport new changes from the upstream into our fork in Dashcore. And finally, the result, we had changed the API a lot. And in order to be compatible with the new version, since we use the Rust Dashcore in our platform, especially in RSVP crate and RS Drive IBCI crate, we had to support new API of Rust Dashcore. So basically, with this task already done, the PR is open and ready for review. We also have a small issue with one library, which is a dependency in Rust Dashcore, which affect our compiling RS1 create. But yeah, we will have a time probably this sprint to fix it, because we just need to support some configuration in our GitHub action. So next item is about a state sync specification. Also on last sprint, I create the document with investigation of how state sync works and which modification we have to apply on it. And this document is contained kind of specification what we have to do in order to achieve our goal. And the last topic is about refactoring itself. So currently we started to refactor state sync in order to become compatible with the GrowDB. So currently, we need to slightly change our protocol and change a bit the way how the queue is working internally in state sync module. So basically, this is kind of progress at this moment. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Igor, would you go next, please?
Yep. Hey, everybody. Igor is here. So this week, I mostly was focused on the asset lock transactions implementation in SDK, and also fixed one bug related to the complaint from the community member that couldn't run SDK in an Angular project. So first thing first, I updated Dashcore library to support asset lock payload according to the core version v20. This job at the site of Dashcore library is actually done, but it's it's currently in review, and I already embedded this change into the SDK. So currently SDK is producing asset lock transactions for Core V20 instead of just burning money for testing purposes. And the next thing for this effort would be to update RSDrive EBCI to verify asset lock transactions, since they have different, well, basically asset lock transactions is a special transaction, and the logic of verification is a bit different than we have currently. Besides that, Core V20 latest version of asset locks, asset lock Core V20 has changes, has breaking changes in Get Blockchain Info RPC API. So I updated this thing as well, and it is pending to be delivered into RSDrive EBCI. And yeah, and lastly, debug with the unwanted usage of legacy X11 hash JavaScript library in JS Wallet, which caused some weird issues in certain front-end frameworks, such as Angular, for example. Yeah, so this issue is gone, and we are fully operating with the WASM X11 currently. And yeah, next sprint will release updated version of SDK, which will address at least 3 bugs that was found by community members and communicated to us in Discord. Yeah, this is it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Igor. Okay, so we still are on deployment 9 of our DevNet. It's more because we wanted to push out the new version once versioning is done, and versioning hasn't been done. But we also wanted to see what happened at the epoch change, and if all Evo nodes were properly paid out. They were. There was no issue. Last time, 2 weeks ago, we were at block 7,872 at the time that I checked, and an hour or 2 ago, we were at block 14,496. There's no issue there. It's running flawlessly. It has been for multiple weeks now. And yeah, so we're going to, there's no reason to destroy this and start a new one right now. We're going to do that after versioning, probably with deployment 10. Our current plan is that we are going to, shortly after mainnet activates 19.2, and Core will talk about that soon. That happens on July 6th. So in the days after that, we are going to upgrade testnet to version 20 of Core, and at the same time, deploy version 25 to testnet. So yeah, I mean, that's not even that far away. So that's the current plan. And then people, Incubator and other people will be able to go against version 25, which has been shown to be quite stable. So what's left to do for beta 2? This slide I changed a little bit. I removed something that we no longer have to do. And I highlighted the things that are in progress. So versioning, it's still in progress. I upgraded this from a medium to a large because yes, it is, 40,000 lines of code so far, and it's not even done in total. So and not 40,000 written, probably about 10,000 written and 30,000 moved. So yeah, versioning in progress. Yeah, the core block reward that was done 2 sprints ago. The data contract bounds, as I said, is a matter of a day or 2 once we're ready. Finalization of withdrawals has been worked on a little bit, but yeah, it's also a matter of days once we're done with versioning. And Anton is working on masternode voting. PCOS tweaking, also a matter of days. And state sync, this is, so basically we're working on what we can work while some other things are more blocked, like we can't really work on data contract bounds. We've done everything we can. We can't really work on finalization of withdrawals. We've done everything we can. Same thing for fee cost tweaking. So, but Masternode voting, that is something that can be worked on right now. Anton has taken that over. State sync, we made a plan. We actually went, Dima and helped by Lukasz have been working pretty nicely on this, with Grove DB team participating as well. So there's quite a lot of work having been done there. So we'll, it's not sure that we'll have it before mainnet. It really depends on like basically if they can finish on time before. It's not a requirement though. Okay. Let's now talk about Grove DB.
Wisdom, would you kick us off?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, my name is Wisdom, from the Grove DB team. So yes, we released 1.0, release candidate 1, sometime today. So that's great. We're still going to have a release presentation immediately after this slide, so we'll get more into that. But in order to do this, we needed to fix some bugs, add some more documentations and others. So I'm just going to go through those now. So the first one we worked on was the atomic rights. Basically, when you perform a single operation in Grove DB, so let's say you just want to insert something into the storage, it usually takes more than one write operation. You want to do one operation on the Grove DB layer, but on the storage layer, it's going to cause multiple operations. That's because of the root hash propagation and stuff like that. So this was not atomic before, in the sense that, okay, if there could be a possibility that we do some of those, but then something happens, and that would probably lead to some kind of corrupted state. So that's fixed. We now every single operation is atomic, even though it looks like, even the ones that are just one operation from the Grove DB layer. So that's good. We also version proofs. So now we just append a version number to the proof bytes. Now we can select the correct proof verification algorithm by just looking at the proof data. So this would be important for versioning. And documentation. So we added 2 more technical docs to the Grove DB ADR section. We added one to describe the Grove DB structure. So everything about how the Grove DB structure is represented, how it is built up from multiple merges, how the root hash is computed, how the root hash is propagated. Everything is outlined in this document. So, and I feel fairly digestible. Another thing we worked on was the query system. So from simple queries to extremely complex queries, how to make use of the path queries, the different components of a path query, everything is also in this document. Then a fairly I won't say non-technical, but not as technical, we added the tutorial section. So this just shows you how to perform the basic operations in Grove DB. So we're talking about how to insert, how to update, how to delete, how to prove, how to verify. Thanks to Paul and Jeremy. Then we also came across some bugs that we fixed. One of them was the fact that the cost was non-deterministic. So the underlying key value pair ordering on the RocksDB layer was somehow making the cost different. This was a very hard bug to find, but then once we found it, the patch was really easy to make. So that has been fixed also. And then we did some API refactoring. So we prevented the storage API from being exposed outside of the GraphDB API line. And then we move the estimated cost into its own feature, because not everyone using GraphDB would want to get the estimated cost for an operation before running the operation. It's a very niche requirement. So move that into its own feature. If you want that, you just add the feature. So yeah, that's basically it. So I pass it to Paul to talk about the release.
Thanks, Wisdom. Hello, guys. This is Paul from Research, and I am going to share my screen because I have something to present to you. We finished, we'll say, V1 of the GroveDB website. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, interrupt me if you don't see it. So yeah, here's GroveDB website. First database to support cryptographic proofs for complex queries, built by the developers of Dash. And this was designed by our graphics guy, Ross, and Tanya took care of all of the website stuff that isn't the graphic design. So they put a lot of hard work into this, and thanks to them, they made something that I think a lot of us are really happy with. And we have some things we want to still add, like we need to make more detailed documentation, which now we have thanks to all these articles that the GroveDB devs have written. They're really in-depth and technical, so those will be great. That means a lot more work for us, but it's good. Yeah, so let's just go down the page a bit. Features. Got a comparison table, GroveDB versus some of the most comparable other competitors. There's not many. Yeah, you can look at that later. But we have a much bigger comparison table also. This one has 5 projects, including us, and we've made one with 15 projects and a bunch of other features to compare as well. And we're gonna add that to the website within the next few days. So going down, we have design, some info, some background info. What are secondary indexes and cryptographic proofs? These are nice little pop-ups. Then we have an explanation of HADS, which is hierarchical authenticated data structure. And GroveDB is the first production level implementation of a HADS. So this kind of talks about what it is. There's a small visual here to help you understand benefits of a HADS. And then we have Merk down here. So all trees in GroveDB are Merk trees by default. And features of Merk. Okay, start using GroveDB today. If you click here, it will bring you to documentation. So, and by the way, comparison table just brings you down to this one, but we're gonna make a whole new page for this, and we're gonna put the bigger comparison table there. So documentation, this is very bare bones right now because, well, we didn't really know what to write, and we basically copied the GitHub README for this. But like I said, we're going to use the articles that the GroveDB devs wrote and flesh this out a lot more. It's going to be great because, like, me being on the research team, I'm often looking into other projects and like reading the docs, searching the docs, and like you can't find the answer to some questions, and you have to look in the code, maybe reach out on Discord to get answers. And the docs that Wisdom and the guys, Sam, put together, and Evgeny, are really detailed. So they really should leave no questions unanswered. So I'm psyched about that. Yeah. So yeah, it's bare bones right now, but it's definitely something. And you have dark mode here too, if you want.
Nice.
Yes, for those of you who have weak eyes.
Or just prefer better UX.
Okay, yeah, and then finally, tutorials. These are just some basic tutorials about pretty much how to use the basics of GroveDB, like setting GroveDB up, opening, which is kind of like setting it up too, insert, delete query, and get proofs. And then there's extra like some extra information. This explanations if you need help understanding GroveDB queries, which can be pretty complex. The explanations hopefully will help you, although I will say they're still kind of hard to understand. Yeah, that's it. The Twitter links to Dash Twitter, and this GitHub is obviously GroveDB GitHub. I will also note these tutorials teach you how to interact with GroveDB, but when you use GroveDB in Dash platform, you're actually going to be using drive functions. And so you actually, like, Dash platform dApp developers won't be using these functions and stuff. So don't you just know that you don't have to use these. So yeah, that's it. Next we have, so we released V1 today of GroveDB, and we also published to crates.io, which is like where you can publish your Rust projects, and it's pretty awesome, and I'm excited about it. And Sam, I think you're gonna present that, right?
Well, I wasn't planning on it, but I will. Actually, why don't since you're already sharing, can you just go to docs.rs/GroveDB, docs.rs/GroveDB?
Sure.
There we go. So yeah, so when you have a Rust project, a library, you can publish to crates.io, and then other people can download it and seamlessly integrate it into their package. And we created, and this is kind of like auto-generated from the code actually. So, but there is work that goes into all of this, and I want to thank Wisdom for doing that work over the last few days. So yeah, basically, most developers, when they're using a project, they don't really go to, it depends on the size of the project, right? So for example, RocksDB has its own documentation. It's not here in the crate, but like smaller projects generally are in the crate, so people are looking in here. GroveDB is not very small. It's kind of in between. I think that for small things, and just because Rust developers and are used to it, they'll probably just go here to like learn a little bit at the very beginning of how to do things. And then eventually, if they want like more in-depth understanding, they can go to the GroveDB website, which would explain more and be maybe a little bit more user-friendly. Here, you basically can go into any struct. I think it probably works. If you go on the left side structs, yeah, so you could like go into query. Let's just, I have not done this. I have not prepared, but I'm going to guess it works. Yeah, see, look at this. See, because we write code in such a way that it automatically, we write a lot of documentation comments, and when we write the documentation comments in the code, it's automatically imported here. because we need to understand what it does. So like insert key adds an individual key to the carry so that its value or its absence in the tree will be including in the resulting proof. If the key or arrange including the key already exists in the query, this will have no effect. And basically like, yeah, this has a lot of documentation already done, pretty much because it's already in the code. So yeah, and like this is also the case with Drive. This is also the case with DPP once we publish those. So we're gonna have like so even though dApp developers currently don't need to know this at all, and even in the future, if they care about DPP functionality that they do, they might need to care about, or SDK functionality. If they're using the Rust SDK, they can get that directly from docs.rs. Yeah, so this is actually really cool. The idea to make a website for GroveDB and for it to be an individual project came a few years ago. Well, about a year ago, and it's really nice to see that to its realization. Pretty much GroveDB was very close to being complete, like maybe even in February. But there have been fixes, and we didn't want to prematurely release the version 1, just to give time to identify issues that might appear and fix them. So we really feel at this point that we have identified most issues, and we're pretty confident that version 1, or maybe there's this release candidate, maybe there'll be like RC2, right, or RC3, but yeah, we're pretty confident at this point that this is the one that will go to mainnet for GroveDB.
By the way, I was very happy. I was very excited to see the comments. I've never seen so much documentation on docs.rs.
Yes, documentation is amazing. And I would like to say, I want to share something. This is going to be like impromptu. Balázs, you okay with me taking 5 more minutes?
Go ahead.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can do this. Where is the Discord?
But you also had to turn on your camera.
Oh, my camera keeps on going off. Okay, but that's not. Nobody needs to see my face right now. I haven't shaved. I've been in cave mode development for a little bit too long. So, I mean, this is also tying in to versioning. Can people see my screen right now?
Yes, I can see.
This is tying into versioning and also tying into how we use AI more recently. I think a lot of people might be interested in that. So let's take a function, GroveDB up badge drive method. Okay, so let's just take the first one here. So here is a function that apply drive operations, right? Before this was just in the code, it was not separated. For versioning, we remove it, we put it under v0, and basically there's a parent, we only allow it to be called by the super function, and it basically is called here. Now, as you can see here, look at all these insane documentation comments. Wow, that's great. And we have this for every single thing. And guess what? I did not write this. Thank you, AI. The documentation comments that I wrote before were, not even here. I didn't even write any. Well, maybe I did. So maybe I did write, like what I write sometimes does look like this, but more recently, like 95% of all comments written in platform are auto-generated, and then I just read through them. So it's really, really, really a time saver. And it also makes everything look very good. So when this gets exported and users are going to use the apply drive operations, they're going to see all of this documentation comments, and it's going to be a lot easier for them to use the various functions. Anyways, that's what I wanted to share. And I mean, it's great developing in 2023. It's and I think it's only going to get better. Right now, when we think about AI, we're really in the infancy of what it can do. For example, like the AI tools that we have, like ChatGPT-4, they're not integrated yet into apps. There's like these semi-integrations where you can have a little window on the side that you can ask things, but it doesn't, and there also is Copilot X, but Copilot is not yet at the level of ChatGPT-4, for example, that has an 80% accuracy, whereas I think Copilot only has, I don't want to say something incorrect, but it's much lower than that. Anyways, that's about it for me. Great time to be alive.
Yeah, I've also heard the term today, like for this type of content, it's AI generated, human edited for this documentation.
Oh yeah, and yeah, so yeah. The AI would not be able to do anything. Like it also makes 20% errors, right? So it's not as if we can replace everybody with AI yet. Maybe one day.
Would you stop screen sharing so we can move along with the core team?
Yes.
Thank you for this demonstration. It was helpful. All right. Pastor Udi, are you ready?
Yeah, sure. All right. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is v19.2 status. You can see here that we are about 38-ish% masternodes upgraded. I really want to, reiterate to everyone to upgrade as soon as possible if they can. It's very important for a seamless transition that everyone upgrades to 19.2. 19.1 will fork off and stop working on the activation date. And the activation date is July 5th. So we've got, what is that, about 2 weeks, a week and a half? Yeah, closer to a week and a half until this upgrade. And actually, it's a week and a day. So yeah, please upgrade. Yeah, it's going to be late hours UTC on July 5th. So depending on where you're at, it's going to be the 5th or the 6th. Yeah, reiterating again, 19.2, please upgrade. There will be a couple probably announcements on Discord as well to prompt more people. But it's very important that we upgrade. There probably will be service interruptions if we don't get enough people upgraded. So just let's keep that in mind. All right, I think we're good to move on to the next slide.
All right, thank you. If I understand correctly, the message is please upgrade.
Yes, please upgrade. All right. Okay, so V20 development is going quite well. We are, in my estimation, probably about 3 weeks from a testnet release. It could be a little sooner or it could be later than that. It will partially have to be coordinated with other teams. We don't want to have breaking changes to testnet when the other teams are, trying to use it for stuff. So the exact timing will be dependent on how it goes with other teams. We've made really good progress with Guix recently. We have a big pull request open right now that is the first one that is enabling M1 macOS binaries, which is really, it's the ultimate goal that we've been moving towards with migrating to Guix. And so it's very, very good to see that kind of happen now and see kind of the fruit of this very pretty long process of migrating to Guix. But we're making good progress there. And I'm happy to see that moving forward. Basically, the only blocking thing for V20 right now is EHF. There are a couple of other things in review or in testing, but everything is pretty much done besides Guix and EHF, and Guix is not blocking for going to testnet. So the only remaining thing that is blocking to go to testnet is EHF. There should be a pull request open this week for EHF. And so the plan is that it's opened this week. We'll review it over the next week or so. And then we'll go on to a DevNet for a week or so. And then we should be ready for a testnet release. Additionally, there is the list of merged PRs down at the bottom. Odie, if you want to talk about the status of kind of decentralized randomness and on-chain chain locks, feel free to take over.
Yeah, sure. So very quickly, the status of this feature. So most of the implementation parts are either merged or under review. We are in phase of writing a quorum verification feature in functional tests, which will use basically the chain lock signatures found on Coinbase. That way we can simulate as close as possible an SPV client on a rec test level. And so, yeah, this is the last part which is still in progress. Obviously, this is not blocking, since we can go to testnet with only the three first parts. That's all from this decentralized randomness.
All right, thanks, Odie. I think we're good to move forward and hop into questions.
Hop into questions. All right, thank you very much.
Is it okay that I start with the question by because it's fresh in my mind?
Yeah,
the one by Ryan.
Please go ahead. So there, may I? Or are you going to?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So this have a language about updating scares me. Like we have no choice. That's not how blockchains are supposed to work. That was the comment that you would like to.
And that's completely correct, Ryan. That's not how blockchains are supposed to work. You have a choice, and the current choice is to go to back to version 18, stay on 19.1, which most of the network is on, or go to 19.2. That's the real choice that Mastnodes have. Staying on 19.1, let's remember what 19.1 is. 19.1 is version 19 that has been delayed for 3 weeks for a certain amount of time, meaning that 19.1 has the same code as version 19 that stalled the chain. So if we don't upgrade to 19.2, the nodes that are on 19.1 will stall because v19.0 stalled. So the choice there is, okay, you want to stay on something that has a bug in it and that will stall. This is correct, right, Pasta, what I'm saying right now?
Yes.
Yeah, so my main point is, if people really do not agree with the v19 upgrades that are happen, they should revert their node to v18. if that's really what the will of the masternodes want. But since they originally upgraded and since the miners also signaled for V19, I'm pretty sure that this is not that as a case. They most likely, since there's no incentive really to upgrade later, I mean earlier, I feel that some people are just procrastinating because there's still time to do it. So, but we're running into the last moment. So I think a lot of people are going to want to upgrade in the next week. I think it's a smart idea.
All
For
right,
future
thank you.
versions, obviously, yeah, for future versions, like going to V20, yeah, there's no like if the majority doesn't want something, then it doesn't happen, right? But in this case specifically, the V19.1 is broken, as it is the code of V19.
All
That
right,
is
thank you
why
for
we.
sharing. Costa, do you want to
Yep.
add something to this?
No, not well. Sam gave a good explanation of it. Obviously, this is specific to the fact that the original V19 hard fork had issues and ended up getting delayed. Additionally, in the future, it might be a lot easier to utilize the state of masternode upgrades to do forks of all kinds, or at least keep that in account. That is something that was concerning in the original 19 update, and it is still concerning now, is the progression of masternode updates. But once we have enhanced hard fork implemented, we'll be able to utilize the status of the masternode network and only activate hard forks once the masternodes have sufficiently upgraded. Yeah.
All righty. Thank you very much for sharing these thoughts. So the first question, where will the proof of concept masternode voting take place? Is this platform contracts and MNOs interact on DashPay wallet or Dash Core? Anton, Sam?
I'll answer that. It will happen in the mobile wallets. Basically, you can register your Evo nodes in the mobile wallet in a decentralized way that nobody actually knows that it's on that wallet. And then you can vote on various username distributions. And then we have like dedicated screens that are being built. I think the mobile teams have already started building them. So basically, this is not a wasted effort, because in the future, we see people being able to easily vote from their phone on various decision proposals that are not funding. Funding decision proposals are going to stay on the core side for the foreseeable future, just because they work well there. But other things that will be contract based will be in the mobile wallets.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is about testnet status. Maybe Ivan, do you want to speak to the testnet status? Question is testnet stable yet?
As far as I know, yeah. So it's the status page says it's stable, and I mean, as far as 24 version is stable, and you can use it for your applications.
All right, thank you very much. Next question, do you anticipate that asset lock transaction will be faster? I have noticed that identity register and top up to take the longest, or maybe it's just me.
Yes. That's an interesting question. I believe it will be faster in V25. But we're still looking into that, and we're still trying to figure out how to make it a little bit faster.
All right, thank you very much. When use it?
Probably not a little bit faster, much faster.
Thank you. When usernames? I guess that's the next question.
When usernames, I'm guessing that question is when usernames on mainnet, because usernames on testnet, I mean, are there right now. So when usernames in the mobile wallet on mainnet. So when, how this is going to work is we will release platform, and we're also going to release platform. There's going to be a phased release of the contracts. So we're not going on day one, the mobile wallets will not activate with usernames. It will be a little bit later. The voting on usernames is going to happen very soon after platform activates. It either is going to be immediate or within a week. So yeah, so that's going to happen really fast.
Thank you very much.
And then we'll vote on usernames for some period of time, and then when the usernames are done with being voted on, then the DashPay wallet experience will activate, and people will be able to use their usernames to send to each other.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm having a hard time figuring out what this question, what is not. I'm trying to answer all of these. One question, DCG after party question mark. So I guess I take it as a potential idea for us to hold a casual Zoom meeting or Discord event that can happen.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's probably not a good idea because a lot of people are very focused on delivering as soon as possible, and well, yeah, I'll share this idea with the team, but I personally feel like not until at least we're in the testing phase, right? And we have like something on testnet that's close to what is being released, if just a little bit buggy.
All right, thank you very much. So when will Dash Digital Trash run out of money? I take every question seriously, so we shouldn't talk trash. But anyway, I leave it to you, Sam, to decide whether it's a question you would like to answer out of the scope of the development update.
Sure. I mean, it is kind of out of scope, but I'll answer to the best of my ability. So on what is public, first, I'm guessing that the troll in question is asking about DCG funding, not like all DFOs. So for DCG funding, I mean, it was in the last proposal. We have a certain amount of reserves left. I'm a little bit afraid to say how much more because I'm afraid to give the wrong number. But it is.
But they can look it up in the.
Yeah,
proposal.
I believe it is between 2 and 3 months currently, if we receive no extra funding, right? But if we did receive, as we continue to do with the supplementals, it's a lot longer than that, obviously, right? So probably more in the range of 5 to 6 months with the additional supplementals and everything. But every supplemental or every I post these numbers to the best of my ability. So can be
All right, thanks for
seen there.
sharing. Thanks for sharing. Also, who from DCG has not been live yet on the sprint? I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you mean which team? Or from this group who wasn't live? I think from the platform teams, everyone, I mean, from the platform team members, everyone was live.
Yeah.
Maybe some people are, taking days off and they are not here. But if someone is here and working, they are representing themselves in the demo. If the question, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sorry. On platform side, yes. On core side, the core team is a little bit older and has a higher history of maybe there are people that join DCG kind of on the condition that they would be somewhat not anonymous, but they don't want their faces or sounds to be heard, and it's understandable. Seen. So we don't have everybody shown on the core side. Of course, we know who they are, right? It's just, some people are more private, and that's fine. But I think we get a good representation from Pasta and Odysseus on the core side of things. From the question is who in other teams, well, yeah, this is really just focused on platform and core at the moment. And sometimes we have guest speakers like Paul from research. Your last name is now from research, by the way, Paul.
All right, thank you very much. So next question. There was a talk about platform JavaScript versioning being faster than Rust platform because Rust was single-threaded. Is this a thing?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Yeah. So there was a talk about platform JavaScript version being faster than Rust platform because Rust was single-threaded. Is this a thing? I
don't think so. But I mean, so the thing is that yes, while JavaScript was single-threaded while JavaScript is multi-threaded in theory, the fact that it's interacting with DPP and the fact that people here might see me bashing JavaScript a lot, but in all, there's no one alive, I think, that would say that JavaScript is faster than Rust. In any benchmark, Rust is sometimes like 20 times faster. It really depends on what you're trying to achieve as well. But no, I really, really strongly believe that the Rust version is going to be much, much faster, even though it is single-threaded. Now, we have to also understand that Drive has always been single-threaded and GroveDB as well for now, right? And because it's single-threaded, that has always been a bottleneck. But it's not like single-threaded doesn't mean slow. It's quite fast. I believe there are like 10,000 insertions per second. I got up to 10,000 insertions per second on my computer. So we're not saying, this is slow. That's not the speed of platform. That's more the speed of GroveDB on my very powerful machine. But yeah, I believe, and we're going to actually see this very soon, that the amount of transactions per second that platform written completely in Rust is going to allow for will be, well, my guess is that it's going to be about 10 times more than previously. But, you know, we're going to actually see those numbers soon. So.
All right, thank you very much. Next question is, I'm not sure maybe if it's out of context, like static proposal fees. I think it was referring to our previous answer. Like static proposal fees.
Don't know what it means.
I don't know either. Yeah, so I would like to ask, if you are asking a question, even if it's, you know, makes sense in the context, please include the context to the question, because 5 minutes later, we are not sure if we can answer it precisely as you would like to. So thanks for the suggestions. Also, I'm definitely going to ask Ryan about this intro and outro thing and make it happen next time so I have a proper intro or outro. I'm not promising the same level as Ryan did with the Incubator Weekly, but I'm doing my best. All right, is there any other question? I don't see. So thanks for joining today. Thank you for the ideas, your contributions, your feedback, and the wonderful questions. And hopefully we see each other in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. See you guys. Bye-bye.